How's it going, John?
Oh, it is going. It is going. I'm feeling better tonight than I did this morning and yesterday, so that's good.
That's good.
Maybe I'm getting over this cold, cough, whatever it is that I have had. I don't know.
It's been a few weeks now.
It has been like 3.5 weeks. Yeah, and
Too
sucks.
long, I'm sure. Not pleasant.
I don't know. Maybe it's this RSV or whatever it is. I don't know. I know nothing about what the symptoms are.
Keeps going around.
I just know that I have COVID tests in the house that are unexpired, and they say it's not COVID. So, anyway.
How's your weekend?
My weekend was lazy. We had a 3-day
I like
weekend.
those kinds of weekends.
Well,
Yeah.
I lazy / still recuperating. I don't know. Yeah, Easter
I like the lazy
Sunday,
part.
I did nothing. Like, I guess we cooked dinner and we ate dinner, and I think those were my accomplishments for Sunday. I did. I played. I sat down and played a game on the computer for too many hours. But I just didn't want to move. I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah.
I did though on Saturday. So it rained Sunday, it rained Friday, but it did not rain
Right.
on Saturday.
Saturday was
And
nice.
it was a nice day. So I had hoped that I would get to split my single surviving bee colony. So I was all excited. I took out some equipment, got in my bee suit and went out there and cracked them open and was like, well, you guys haven't done anything for the last 3 weeks.
Uh-oh.
I didn't. I closed them back up and was like, well, I hope, you make it another couple weeks and you'll be fine.
But they're still there.
They are still alive.
They're just so many that you could split.
Yeah, they're just not
Splittable.
they are alive, but not thriving. So
Got it.
So we'll
When do
see.
your new bees show up?
Next Saturday. Not this coming Saturday, a week from this next Saturday. So it's the 22nd, maybe, of April. So
Okay.
And yes.
Cool.
So I got 2 of them coming.
All right.
And I got 2 for a buddy of ours too that wanted a couple more. And so yep. That'll be a fun day. I hope it's not raining that day, but we'll have to see. The other thing I did was do battle with the mice in the greenhouse. So,
Well, my Sunday excitement was lots of driving because
not Christmas, on Easter.
Yeah, Easter. My oldest daughter had gone up to a conference up in Seattle. She took the train. So
Right.
I had kind of convinced her, hey, you should just take the train. It's easier.
Why not?
She was staying with a friend
You
up there
you can read
who
instead
lived
of driving.
10 minutes from the train station. Enjoy the trip. Her trip up there was fabulous. She went to the conference on Friday and Saturday. Sunday, she was coming home. She calls at about an hour before she's supposed to be home. Hey, Dad, the train has stopped. The engine broke down in the middle of nowhere. We had the Find My Friends, right? So we could see on the map where she was. There's no roads. It's just the train.
Right.
It's a ways from the freeway. The train kind of follows the freeway up to Seattle, but not really in some spots.
I've never ridden it, but yeah, I've definitely passed underneath the tracks a couple times.
Yeah. So, and then I'm like, well, they'll figure it out. And then she sends, they're getting us buses. I'm like, all right, sorry you have to ride a bus, but we'll still come pick you. Just let me know when you pick up. Half an hour later, she says, they're not getting buses because there are no buses available. They're getting a train to come push us back to Seattle.
Ooh.
It's like, oh, okay. Then another 20 minutes, they're allowing people to get off in Centralia. So that's about halfway between Seattle and Portland. So about an hour and a half or so, a little more than over an hour and a half from our house. Will you please come pick me up?
You're like, go wait in McDonald's or someplace nearby.
Yeah.
Did they push? They must have pushed the train to Centralia.
Correct. They pushed it all the way back up to Seattle, but they stopped in Centralia to allow anybody who wanted to get off. And I had already left, and they hadn't started pushing it. She was only waiting in the train station for 20 minutes by the time I got there from the time she got off.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a very slow, very long day for her.
Okay.
So
okay.
That was my Sunday. Then we got home a little bit late that evening and ate our Easter dinner. It was tasty.
Okay.
Even though it was not as warm as it was originally.
Sure. We've been eating on the ham all week. 2 meals a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Breakfast and dinner.
And then the other things I did, this was actually 2 weeks ago while we were on spring break vacation, but I forgot to mention it last week.
Okay.
I was able to actually spend some time and go see a couple movies. I have not been to see movies.
I have not been to the movies for a while.
The Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
Okay.
And it did not quite get the charm of the first one. I thought the first one was hilarious. I really enjoyed the first one. The second one was good. I didn't feel ripped off going to see it, but it definitely did not have they tried a little bit too hard, I think.
Did you go into it with higher expectations than you went into the first one?
The first one I had like zero expectations.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I just knew yeah. This one I was like, well, hopefully I was like, please just let it not be horrible. And it wasn't horrible. You know, it was kind of cute. And so I was like, oh, okay, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
So it was fun. And then my older daughter, the one who went to the conference, wanted to go see the Dungeons and Dragons movie. And she plays Dungeons and Dragons with her friends. I think almost weekly. And I know what it is. I know casual knowledge about it. But so I was a little worried I would go and I would be completely lost in this. But it was an enjoyable movie. It was, for me, who doesn't know much about Dungeons and Dragons, it was more like a movie set in a magical medieval realm.
Okay.
It worked. For her, she was like, oh, and that was funny, and here's the joke, and you know how he said that to this person? It's because of this, because she knows the characters.
All this stuff's going over your head.
Going over my head, but it didn't matter.
You're like the 5-year-old in the animated DreamWorks movie that all the adults are laughing and are like, I don't know what's funny, but okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Exactly. So it was fun. I enjoyed that one. That one I would go see in the movie theater. It was just a fun show. So got to see a couple movies, and that was a lot of fun as well.
It's been a while since I've taken the boys to a movie. Maybe I'll do that.
Either of those would work, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about a topic? What'd you bring me tonight? All
right. So mine, I found. We have talked in the past. It's actually been a while since we've talked about automobile hacking and attacks on automobiles. But right, there was the whole key fob. Every car now has auto start and the key fobs. There's no physical keys anymore.
Sure.
We talked a lot about the relay attack, especially with Teslas. I think we talked where you can kind of go up to the window, get close, and then relay the radio signal to, the guy out in the garage or out in the driveway and be able to open doors and steal vehicles that way. This one is a new attack, and
I haven't seen this.
We've talked about the CAN bus on automobiles, right? The thing that tells the car to do X and Y, turn the headlights on, unlock the doors, all the signals that can be sent on this CAN bus. Well, the wiring for this goes everywhere. And apparently they have discovered that for certain models of vehicles, this one is specifically a Toyota RAV4, and another one was a Toyota Land Cruiser, that if you pop out one of the headlights, the wiring that goes into the headlights also wires into the CAN bus.
Oh.
And with about... He found the guy whose car was stolen was also a researcher, and so he found on a dark web type site a device that he could buy, and about $10 in components, he was able to take that blob. It's disguised apparently as a JBL Bluetooth speaker, plug it into the wires out of a headlight, and basically send CAN bus messages. So you don't even need the key fob. you just start flooding the CAN bus with key fob near, key fob near, key fob near, unlock the door. And apparently that overload, the car eventually says, oh, fine, okay, and opens the doors.
Oh my gosh!
It's
really?
It's slightly more than that, to go through that. But I'm just saying that's the gist of it, right? It's just sitting there waiting, and then as soon as it does, it starts sending burst messages on the CAN bus 20 times per second that activates an extra circuit, so it overloads some things on the CAN bus, and then starts sending all sorts of fun messages like open the door, unlock the door, and once the door is unlocked, you can get in, steal the vehicle. So that is my article for this week, is yet another attack. And now you're able to steal vehicles just by essentially software telling it, open the door.
Yeah, you have to get physical access to the some CAN bus wiring, though.
Which apparently, if you break out the headlight for at least the Toyota RAV4 and Land Cruiser, there's the wires exposed, and you can...
Well, now that, practically everything has is wired to be both a sensor and an actuator.
Yeah.
Are the lights on and are they working? And turn the lights on. Wow.
So there you go.
Huh.
That's a fun one.
All right. Yeah, that's good. I hadn't read that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My article this week is a JFrog article detailing what they called the Impala Stealer. So it was a bunch of NuGet packages. So NuGet is the .NET package installer.
Package manager, yeah.
So it was a combination of a few things, and this article by JFrog was pretty cool, pretty good, and quite detailed. They go through sort of how the packages get deployed in the first place, which is, typo squatting is the primary thing. So there's a bunch of packages that are, instead of anarchy-wrapper, it's anarchy.wrapper.net, Coinbase.core instead of Coinbase. And it's interesting, the names of the owners, quote unquote, are, Binance official or official development team, et cetera.
Official development team. That sounds official.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But, so there's a bunch of, typos. So asip.net.core instead of asp.net.core, or,
nice.
What was the other one I noticed? Avalon Net Core instead of Avalon Edit. I guess that's not really a typo, but, anyway. So you'll never guess what the end goal of this is.
Cryptocurrency theft. Yeah.
Yeah. But the other thing, the reason why I did this is that I thought was kind of tricky is this kind of hooks into Discord as an exfiltration mechanism.
Discord?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Because evidently Discord allows you to register webhooks. Right. And so they basically call, anyway, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but they call a Discord webhook in order to send the wallet information that they're stealing after injecting into the Exodus wallet.
Got it.
Because evidently the Exodus wallet app is a Electron app, so they can just inject some JavaScript to call a webhook. Anyway, I'm jumping ahead though. But so the three things that they detail in here are for the payload. So the first thing that happens if you run one of these apps is that there's in a NuGet package, there's a PowerShell script that gets run, just like there's a script in most deployment or package manager package types, init.ps1, and the first thing it will do is extract an executable and go try and download something off of it wasn't Pastebin, but it was it was a command and control or file server. So it does three things basically. So persistence, auto updating, and the cryptocurrency stealing. So the auto updating is kind of sorry, before I even get into there, I'm reading this, and I'm not a .NET guy, but in a previous life, I was a Java person. So I'm quite familiar with intermediate language, interpreted languages, etc. This sentence: the payload is an executable that seems to be a .NET application compiled natively using .NET ahead of time compilation. Isn't that called compiling?
Mm-hmm.
So evidently, and it's got AOT is the official acronym for ahead of time, which is a process that converts the .NET IL into native language. x86 64. Yes, that's what a compiler does instead of an interpreter. Those are sorry. Maybe I was just a little salty when I was reading this article or something like that. Anyway, for auto updating, the first thing it does is checks to make sure that there's a .NuGet file in the user profile, because if not, it just dies. And the speculation is that, it's one way to try and prevent reversing or to monitor their behavior to make sure that the payload was dropped via NuGet. But, it immediately adds a updater.exe to the run key for Windows, Microsoft Windows current version, so that it'll run every time you log in. Mm-hmm. So that's its auto updating. And then the persistency, I thought this was really kind of tricky. It looks to see if either Discord or VS Code are installed, because both of them contain JavaScript, and it can basically add a little chunk of JavaScript at the top of, what file is this? Index.js in Discord. It just adds a little, literally 7 lines of JavaScript at the top before all the, variable definitions that, basically, runs its service anytime Discord runs. So that's kind of tricky. And it does the same thing if VS Code exists, because VS Code also has a main.js. It can just add, it's a nice little thing about having an interpreted text-based language that clearly isn't being checked for integrity. Can just prepend a few lines of code and let it rip. So anyway, that was...
Computers are great at doing what you tell them to.
They certainly are, aren't they? Okay, and then the last little bit was the actual exfiltration, which is done by what they called a hard-coded Discord webhook. Because evidently, the webhook is just literally discord.com/API/webhooks/ and then a whole bunch of gobbledygook for tokens or identifiers. Right. And, the data that they're throwing out. So I presume that the Discord API, I know you played with the Discord API, makes it really easy to, trigger on some sort of events and probably uses webhooks to do that, or in some fashion there. But, that's traffic that is very likely to be allowed through most firewalls and, other things.
Right.
So... And they're actually looking for. Sorry, I guess I didn't say this. So the Exodus Wallet app, is a Electron app.
Of course, it is
similar to what they were doing for persistence. And they can simply go and modify the inject some JavaScript into what did it say? Into the source static wallet.html. And boom.
Boom.
When you go to, move any sort of money, your data will also be sent to the Discord webhook.
Magic.
Right? Fun, huh?
Yeah.
It was a good article. And kind of a different way of doing it, sort of all JavaScript, my friend. I know how much you love JavaScript.
It's my favorite language.
What is it? What's the familiarity breeds contempt?
Yeah.
Well, how about something fun? I only brought the one article tonight.
All right. My something fun is a turn your brain off kind of game. And this is what I do to occupy my fingers and only some small portion of brain when I'm listening to an audiobook. If I don't want to read the audiobook, well, actually, I'm typically reading the audiobook and listening to it. And then I found this game. It's called Stitch. It's on iPhone or iPad. And I think you can think of it kind of as a very slow Tetris. So it's digital paint by numbers embroidery. So it's kind of got a circle, the embroidery circle where you stitch, you can make things. And what it does is it partitions it off into a grid and you get numbers. And so there are, you got to fill in a box of 3 spaces. You got to fill in a box of 8 spaces. You got to fill in a box and and it gives you the embroidery and you have to figure out what the pattern is so that they fit in the box. It's hard to describe, but it is my new favorite. If my brain needs another thing to pay attention to.
Interesting.
So that I can focus on something else, I will do this. I discovered this game and I will just do this game. Because it's, there's some thought you have to figure out how to do it. But it's called Stitch. It's very visually really nice. And not a whole lot of thought. It's kind of like a fidget spinner.
All right.
But making embroidery artwork
Stitch.
On a digital. Yeah. If you have Apple Arcade, it's part of Apple Arcade.
Oh, I see that.
So
stitch it up to puzzle out.
Yeah. It's kind of a puzzle game. And I like these kinds of games anyway. So it is definitely not something that's challenging or something that you will spend hours doing if that's the only thing you're doing. But if you're doing something else and just need something, a side distraction, it's great. Huh. That's what I do. So fun. Stitch on the iPhone App Store.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, you gotta figure out how to. You come over here and I put you on the tractor and you just mow for an hour or two, and that also distracts your brain while you listen to a story. That's funny. Okay, I see this. I've never seen it before, but I will give it a shot. I do actually have Apple Arcade because I have the Apple One or whatever that is.
Yeah.
So, okay.
There you go.
Fun.
Try it out.
All right. I will try it out. That'll be cool. Okay. My something fun is actually a really old article, like 2016.
Ancient.
Ancient. What is that? 7 years ago, practically 6.5.
7 years ago.
Right. But this is, the story of, it's a Scientific American article, The Forgotten Life of Einstein's First Wife. She was a physicist too, and there is evidence that she contributed significantly to his groundbreaking science. So, another one of these stories where sexism certainly comes into this, although at least in the early part, not really from him. But so they
history
basically
book writers. History is written by people.
Yeah, but also there was a comment in here that of the student. So what does it say? It said that Mileva is her name. Albert and Mileva were admitted to the physics mathematics section of the Polytechnic Institute in Zurich in 1896 with 3 other students. Albert and Mileva became inseparable. spending countless hours studying together. He attended only a few lectures, preferring to study at home, but Mileva was methodical and organized. She helped him channel his energy and guided his studies. As we learned from Albert's letters, exchanged from 99 through 1903 during school holidays, including, so here's a quote, the climate here does not suit me at all. He's in Milan. And while I miss work, I find myself filled with dark thoughts. In other words, I miss having you nearby to kindly keep me in check and prevent me from meandering. And anyway, but his family did not want him to marry her because she was not Jewish. She was not German. She had a limp and was, the quote from the article is, too intellectual in his mother's opinion. And Albert's father insisted his son find work before getting married. So, but they had similar grades in school, although she had better marks, except in applied physics. She had similar grades, except she a little bit better, except in applied physics, where she got the top mark of 5, where he got a 1. And she excelled in experimental work, while he did not. But in the oral exam, which is given, the professor's judgment, the professor gave 11 out of 12 to the 4 male students, but only 5 to Mileva. So that's part of the probable sexism bits. Yeah. But there's letters. So like Albert, on their first article that they jointly wrote, but was submitted under his name in 1900. It says, there's a quote from Albert, there's a quote from Mileva in a letter she sent that's saying, we will send a private copy to Boltzmann and see, I hope that he will answer us. Albert wrote saying, that he visited his uncle on my behalf, one of the most influential physicists in Italy, and gave him a copy of our article. But then another thing Albert Einstein said in another letter in 1901, quote, how happy and proud I will be when the two of us together will have brought our work on relative motion to a victorious conclusion. And then, anyway, so they wind up getting married, after they have a kid who is born out of wedlock and probably given away for adoption. But they wind up getting married in 1903, and that's when Albert worked at the patent office 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. Mileva worked at home, and then in the evenings they worked together. It says, quote, sometimes late in the night. Both mention this to friends. So their first son was born in 1904. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff, right? So he's working hard. They're working at night. And then 1905 is what is, quote, known as Albert's miracle year, where he published 5 articles, one of which led to the Nobel Prize in 1921, 2 on Brownian motion, 1 on special relativity and the famous, E equals MC squared, commented on 21 scientific papers, et cetera, et cetera. And, so there's more info in here about, let's see, I'm not sure I pulled this one out, but, Mileva, let's see, it says, after having spent 5 weeks to complete the article containing the basis of special relativity, Albert, quote, went to bed for 2 weeks. Mileva checked the article again and again and then mailed it. Exhausted, the couple made the first of 3 visits to Serbia, where they would met numerous relatives and friends whose testimonies provide a wealth of information on how Albert and Mileva collaborated. And then, anyway, so there's more on this where, a bunch of the papers, I thought I'd read a quote in here, but I clearly didn't pull it out, that they were, written in her handwriting, even, that are in some of the Albert Einstein libraries and stuff like that. Is, it's not it's not his writing, it's hers, clearly not all her work necessarily, but there's so many examples of this where, due to the time, They choose to, publish under one person's name, perhaps, and
right.
make it easier. And there was another quote in here about, he's getting famous. I hope that I hope that fame doesn't become problematic. And of course it does. So, which,
of course it does.
It is what it is. But anyway, so this is
that's pretty cool.
Collapse of their marriage in 1914, etc. Blah blah blah. But here's another quote though. Last quote. In 1919, she agreed to divorce with a clause stating that if Albert ever received the Nobel Prize, she would get the money.
Okay.
Which I didn't know about that either. So,
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, it's a great article. Take a look, and
I will have to read it.
And let's be better these days.
Yes.
There you go.
All right, John.
All right, my friend.
Have a good
call it a show.
Evening. It is a show.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Have a good night.
Bye.